Um, but I was actually going to Nova because my first year of college didn't work out. I went to a school in Ohio and I just kind of was like, you know what, too far away from home to have no real clue what I want to major in. So I'm just going to go home. I'll go to Nova for a few years and kind of figure it out from there. So I was going to Nova, and weirdly enough, I decided randomly I wanted to take a Taekwondo class. And I was taking this course, and I was in a joint class with kids and adults. Um, and it, I was talking to this gentleman who was like, "Oh, you're looking at college. Well, I teach at George Mason University." And I was like, "Really? Okay." I mean, I'm looking. So at the time, I was like, I think I want to go into theater. I keep finding myself drawn to that. And I had never associated George Mason University and a theater program because it just wasn't a name that came up. So I was looking at like Christopher Newport and like VCU, different colleges that kind of are a little more known for their theater um, program. And so I was speaking to this gentleman. He said, "Oh, I teach at George Mason. What do you want to major in?" And I said, "Theater." And he was like, "I teach in the theater department." And I was like, there's a department? What? And he was like, "Come on by, let me give you a tour." So he gave me a tour, and I was like, I mean, it's convenient, it's cheap because I can live at home. Seems like the program is there, so why not? So that's kind of how I ended up at Mason. So the name of the professor was Ken Elston, and he ended up becoming the chair of the School of Theater eventually.
Wow, that's a great story. So, what do you recall of your first weeks at George Mason?
So the biggest recollection that I have of my first weeks at Mason was, I had gotten my associate's degree at Nova, so I kind of was able to just jump straight on into the theater department. Um, and it was, I think, first week orientation, and um, my they did theater orientation, and the president of the department starts going on about how if you don't get involved in the department, then you're not going to get cast in shows. And I was like, what? So it was a very daunting experience, and it definitely felt a little like it was like, hey freshman, and I'm like, I'm a transfer, what can I do? So it did feel a little like transfers weren't as recognized. But I did end up having a positive the next week experience where I found out that Theater of the First Amendment, which was I don't quite know its association with Mason other than Rick Davis and Kevin Murray. And I think there was somebody else, but they were all sort of like Mason professors. They had put together this theater program or theater theater a theater, um sorry. And they usually did their performances at Mason, and would hire Mason students to work the production end of it. So I ended up actually getting hired as a stagehand, and that was sort of my way to get in with, okay, cool, I can get into this department now.
So, how would you describe the atmosphere at Mason, and how did it compare to Nova?
um Well, Mason definitely felt more like a college, like what you envision a college to be, especially compared to Nova. Um, Nova, it was like you didn't really have the, okay, I'm going to go hang out with my group of friends that, though we don't always take the same classes together, we always hang out. Whereas Mason, especially at the theater department, there was what was then called the lounge down. by where the black box theaters are. And usually between classes, that's where everybody would hang out. So there was much more of that college vibe. But again, because I was a commuter, I think it was like I wasn't getting the full college vibe experience, but it was more a step up from the community college.